Hi there, my name's Andy Trivett, and I just want to welcome you to this short series of videos on how to use computer-aided design, or CAD. I'm going to show you in a fairly simple and straightforward, I hope, way how to get started using one of the more popular CAD packages, which is SolidWorks. Now, we're going to go through quite a bit of material as we go along, but feel free to stop the videos, go back and try something that I've done, see if it works, look at it again. I find that that really helps, and I'm sure you will too. So we're going to go through, I'll try to make these videos about 10 minutes each, try to make it straightforward, and after a few of them, I hope you'll find that you're actually able to do things using various different CAD packages that you didn't realize were so easy. And at the end, you'll be able to make something in terms of computer design that's quite cool. We will cover, first of all, mechanical CAD using SolidWorks, but after that, we'll introduce some of the other forms of computer-aided design, which would be related to electronics, piping design, and whatnot, because mechanical CAD isn't everything, but it is a good first starting point, after which you can branch out and do a lot of the other things that you'll encounter. So with that as the introduction, let's get started. Here you can see my desktop, nice picture of Prince Edward Island, where I'm situated, and some dunes. If you look closely, however, you'll see that there are a variety of these icons on my desktop. The ones here are related to Autodesk Inventor, which I also use and have installed as a faculty license for a professor. You will have access to that too if you choose to. But we're going to focus on SolidWorks, for which the University of Prince Edward Island has a license. So I've got another video that you'll see for how to install SolidWorks. I'm going to assume that you've done that, and this is the first chance to actually see what this stuff does. When you look in your desktop, you'll see that it's created these different icons. We don't really want to use any of these four that you see here. SolidWorks Electrical, you might have installed that. SolidWorks Composer, it definitely installed that when it created its installation for you. The eDrawings and SolidWorks Visualize. None of that really we're going to use getting started. The one that you should be interested in is this basic red cube called SolidWorks 2017 in my case. I'm sure SolidWorks 2018 looks the same as this, as did previous versions. So go ahead and double click that icon. You'll see a nice splash screen comes up with a variety of different SolidWorks designed, presumably pieces of equipment. It'll be different every time you boot up, so don't be concerned if yours was different than what was on mine. After a moment, depending on the speed of your computer, you'll get this full screen window. In my case, it's telling me that I have some add-in loading performance issues. That's because I have a bunch of other tools as add-ins installed in SolidWorks. You'll be able to do that later on too, but for now, don't worry about that. The thing we do want to look at, though, is creating a new file. If you go up to the left-hand corner, anytime you hover your mouse over the SolidWorks logo, you'll see that you'll get these options for File, View, Tools, typical Windows or Macintosh, but basically Windows type menus. You could go to the File menu and hover over New. In my case, I've got a lot of other files I've worked on, so I could be going back to a recent file. Or you can just go to this little icon that looks like a bent over piece of paper and click that. When you do so, you'll see that that you'll get this new window that gives you 3 different options in addition to tutorials. You can look at the tutorials if you like. I've never found them too helpful, but you give it a try if you want. And the important thing here is that SolidWorks has 3 different types of environments in which it imagines that you'll be working. The first one, and where we'll start, is a part. This is an environment where you can make a solid object, a single solid object that is essentially one chunk. So it's connected a single thing. Once you've done a few of those, you will want to connect them together into a device or an assembly. And so that's the second block that we might work in. And then finally, once you've created an assembly, which represents a product you've designed or created, you may want to represent it as drawings. These would be two-dimensional, on-the-page type drawings. So you'll see this workflow all the time. What we're going to do is start off with a part. So click that, click OK, and SolidWorks will open up a window that yours should look similar to mine, like this. Now, before we start making things, this is the environment in which you'll create any 3D object. It's important at this point to familiarize yourself with what is actually quite a busy desktop, isn't it? There's all these icons, and some of them are grayed out, and some of them aren't. And it all looks kind of confusing. So let's just take a walk around and see what's what. Well, SolidWorks has a nice menu or explanation in its tutorial showing you what each of the parts are. And you can find that just by going up to the Help menu up on your right and type in SolidWorks Work Environment or SolidWorks GUI, GUI. Basically, what you'll learn from that is that there's a variety of features that you'll work with mostly. This one along the top, this is called the menu bar, and it has the menus. You'll find things in the menu bar that sometimes I find are mysteriously hidden in the instructions. So that's a place to know that a lot of stuff exists there. But on a moment-to-moment basis when making parts, I don't find I use the menu bar very much. There certainly is the Help screen over here to your upper right. And I use that. Often I'm disappointed at the Help. So again, it's worth knowing that it's there and looking for help on that, but sometimes the wording for it doesn't help a beginner. Beneath that, there is the toolbar, and this is where you'll find, for whatever work environment you're in, all of the basic tools of things that you can do, and we'll get to that in a moment. Beneath the toolbar is what's called the command manager, and again, you'll see that there's a lot of things that happen in this command manager. The primary place that I find I keep going back to when I'm creating things is this block over on your left. And this is called the configuration manager. And within this, there's a variety of different tabs. The one that you're most likely to be using is the feature manager design tree. And this has, for the part that you're working on, in the default case this is called part 1, but when you save it as a new file name it'll have a different name. And within that, this window or this list will show you all of the things that you do as you're working your way through creating the design. And this is a history of all the actions you've done in creating something. And so you can always go forward and back in the history if you're trying to debug things. There are other types of CAD packages which have a synchronous type modeling approach which doesn't use a history, and that's a whole different thing. But for the most part, all of the major CAD packages have this history type configuration where we'll make one thing followed by another, etc., and it builds up. In the bottom left, there is the status bar, and down here it will show you what you're actually looking at and what's happening with the mouse. Over on the right is the task pane, which I find, frankly, is a pain because I don't really use this part of the window very much. Different people maybe have a different use for it, but I find when I'm designing things, I mostly work over here in the configuration manager and then in the graphics area, which is the middle bit. Now in the graphics area, one of the really important things that you'll encounter is the view toolbar, or well, these are the tools that basically control how you're looking at your part. And so you'll find you'll use these a lot. So that's a quick overview of the software, of the task pane. I'm going to stop there, and you'll have to come to the next video and we'll make something. See you in a minute. Bye.